Hi, everyone. My name is Rachel. I'm from the product support and education team here at Wellfound. I'm really excited about today's Ask a Recruiter, how to get found by sourcers, even when you're not looking. And I see a couple of things being popped up about screen readers and note takers. Just know that this whole session is going to get recorded and put on our YouTube channel. And after the fact, tomorrow or latest Monday, I'll be sending a follow-up email with access to the video for you to watch and sort of a reminder. So you'll be able to watch everything again if you've missed anything. So we're really excited to have Mike Cohen with us. He's a global sourcing lead at phData and founder of Wayne Technologies, and I'll give him a more proper introduction in just a moment. Before we do that, I just want to talk briefly about how this session is going to go. It's a Q&A style session here with Mike. He has offered to live demo some of his tools that he uses for sourcing to give us kind of like an insider scoop on how all of that works and really show you what it is that sourcers and recruiters are seeing from their perspective. So I'm so excited to see, this behind the looking glass kind of view. And while that happens, it's going to be a little bit different if you've come to other sessions that we've had. He's going to be answering your questions. So he's completely open to you writing your questions in the chat for him to respond. Or you can also raise your hand using the hand raise tool and he can call on you to ask your question out loud. I think we all encourage hearing actual voices on today's session. And then lastly, I just want to say that we're kind of trying to form a community here around Ask a Recruiter and job seekers. So please, just keep in mind being respectful. Mike has offered his time for us today. He's been so generous, but also all the other people on this call are job seekers like you. So try to keep questions to one if you can, and we can always come back to you for a second one once other people have asked questions. But otherwise, we're going to have a great conversation, and Mike seems very excited to answer your questions. And then before I introduce Mike, I want to just briefly talk about Wellfound, just in case you've come to us through LinkedIn or another social post and don't quite know what we are. This session today is presented by Wellfound. We are a jobs marketplace. We've been around for over 10 years. We are formerly AngelList Talent, and we help you get hired by cutting-edge startups, as well as larger enterprise tech companies. In our system, we have made over 8 million matches, and we have over 150,000 live tech jobs. So definitely check us out. It's people like me and Alejandro and Megan, who are also on this call, who will be on the other end of any support tickets. You're going to get support from real people with your job search. All right, on to the good stuff. Mike Cohen is a global sourcing lead at phData and founder of Wayne Technologies. He has an extensive experience working with leading tech companies, including Uber, Giphy, Redis Labs, Relativity Space, and startups through Fortune 500s. He's a recognized industry authority. Mike has spoken at over 15 major conferences, including SourceCon, ERE, Sourcing Summit, and RecruitCon. He also served as the VP of ATAP's executive board, contributes regularly to SourceCon and Recruiting Daily, and has authored more than 20 published articles. He's also been featured in CBS, Indeed, and other major publications. We are so excited to have you here with us today, Mike. Thank you so much for being up for sharing your insights with us.
Thanks for having me. I am gonna share my screen. Let me know if y'all see this. I'm just gonna assume y'all do. Cool. Hey, thanks, Sean. I saw the thumbs up on that one. So I have your videos up on one monitor. I've got the chat up on another monitor, and I'm operating off of the superpower of caffeine and ADHD. So if you see me looking everywhere, that's why I am paying attention. I'm not watching cat videos. Catherine and Paul, your guys' last names are freaking awesome. Let's just rock on that for the next 5 seconds here. I dig it. Okay. Cool. So for today, I'm going to give a brief introduction of who I am. We'll go over the agenda and we'll jump right in. I can't get everybody's video up on one screen because we have so many attendees. So if you do have questions, please put it in the chat or unmute yourself and interrupt me because I'm from New York. That doesn't bother me. All right, let's rock and roll. That's me. I'm a sourcing subject matter expert, as Rachel had shared. This is my area and domain of expertise. I am a conference speaker, as you could see. I'm a sponsored pickleball player. No, I'm not a professional, nor am I reasonably good enough to be a sponsored player, but that doesn't change the fact that it's true. I'm in seminary to be a pastor, which at the end of this, you'll go, you kind of swear a lot for a pastor, and I'm just going to agree with you. Big fan of pushing limits, not just my wife's, but physical, mental, professional limits. On the left, or at least left for me, is me finishing the New York City Marathon in 2017. And then I finished a half Ironman in 2018. If any of you have ever seen me live, you would go, oh, well, good for you. I know how God made me. I get it. But I do like pushing myself, and hopefully we'll be able to do that here today for some of y'all. I am a big fan of GIFs and memes. If you find stuff like this unprofessional, the bottom right-hand corner of your screen is a red button. I believe it says end or leave. You're welcome to click that at any time. Yes, people do call me Batman. Yes, I do respond to both. No, I don't have a preference between the two. My wife will never call me Batman unless we're at a conference, so Mike is here to stay for the foreseeable future. Yes, I seriously do respond to all of those. Thanks, Jevin. I am a blessed husband and I am a dog lover. That's my wife, Crystal. She's a principal at Mercer HR, so we're both kind of in the HR space. She's the only reason I'm here today. Physically, emotionally, mentally, the only reason I'm able to own my own company. She's my rock and all of the most amazing things that a best friend should be. And I am a father to this adorable little nugget. Her name is Jadelle, J pronounced like je t'aime in French. Or if you're from Texas, you'd go J-Dells, and a piece of my soul dies. She's my whole life. So, agenda for today, we're going to talk about passive preparation, active actions, and curious questions. I like alliterations, so I just rolled with it. So passive is more like, hey, what do we do at like the onset that'll kind of remain static and consistent throughout our process? What are the things that we can be doing while we're actively looking for and applying to jobs? And then the questions, I took every one of your questions and put them into these slides so I can hopefully answer them. There are 121 of them, so I'm going to talk real fast. Here we go. So let's level set, guys. As you can see from this chart, you'll see that there's a large portion of the market of recruiters that suck at their job. And then another portion that also suck at their job, but in purple. And then there's that 1% of recruiters. So why do I share this? I'm a recruiter and I'm trying to tell you that most of us suck at our jobs. It's just the nature of the beast. So if you're like, hey, why do I keep getting ghosted? Why are people not looking at my resume? Why do recruiters talk to me for 5 minutes? Because they suck. They suck at their job. I wish I could tell you it's better news than that. We're going to talk about how to kind of manage that and work around that today. So let's talk passive preparation. There are 3 areas we're going to focus on. And as Rachel shared, I am going to go live. We're going to talk through, I'm going to show you some of like the search functionality that sourcers have on LinkedIn, so you know kind of what we look for so you can adapt as needed. We're going to talk a little bit about Facebook and Instagram and X and Twitter. I know I got a bunch of questions around like, do we actually check social media? Yes. And then we're going to talk about resume a little bit, since it's an obviously important piece for your job search. If you don't know what a sourcer is, we are recruiters, typically former recruiters who realized we hate talking to people and love data and spreadsheets. So we just decided to get into that instead. So it's all top of, thanks, Paul, I see you. It's all top of funnel recruitment. So we're the people who are going out and actually locating the passive or active talent on the market. So relevant in terms of this talk in particular. Again, I talk quickly. If you need me to repeat something, just message me. If you're embarrassed and don't want everybody to know that you didn't catch that, you can put in the chat privately just to me and no one else will see it and I won't call you out on it publicly. All right, let's talk about LinkedIn profiles. We're going to take a minute here. This is super important. If you're going, what's LinkedIn? I can't help you. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, that's your first to do today. Like you could actually do that while you're listening to me. It'd be a good use of time. For everybody else here, let's look at the headline first. That headline, when you're looking for a job, should be indicative of your background plus the job that you want to do. You have to think, if a recruiter who's bad at their job, remember, looked at your profile, are they going to be able to know just from that headline what you're about? Don't use things like X Google, X Amazon. It first off comes off pompous and presumptuous. Second, we know you used to work there. It's literally in the experience section of your profile. You don't need to rub our noses in it. It's like graduating from Harvard or being vegan. We know you've said it 30 times. We get it. So Don't use superfluous language, right? Like strong go-getter. I know, listen, if I listed every compliment my mom gave me on my LinkedIn profile, it would be forever long. Stick to just data. What have you done? What are you looking to do? So thanks, Rachel, about the dog. Summary. Okay. There's a couple trains of thoughts here. There's no like right answer to this, right? As you can see, it's not too long, not too short. The goal of the summary is twofold. Who are you? What do you do? Right? So we don't want it to just be talking about like, at this company, I did this. I do this professionally. Cool. There should be some of that, but you also cover a lot of that in your jobs, your experience section, right? So what we want to make sure we're doing is talking about things we've accomplished. We want to make sure we have white space, meaning we're not just putting in a large block of text. 1 or 2 sentences, throw in some white space. 1 or 2 sentences, throw in some white space. It makes it more easily readable or legible, more easily legible by recruiters, particularly millennials and Gen Z who are used to communicating via text or messaging. Do I have examples of great LinkedIn profiles? Sure do, buddy. Great name. Use emojis or formatting. Why is this important? So when a human eye is reading text, the things that tend to break up the text into discernible ideas are punctuation, so periods, exclamation points, question marks, white space, or things like bullet points, emojis, etc. They're areas to draw your eyes to make sure that you can make clean and succinct points about yourself. Note, the summary is also a buzzword location. No, don't list a bunch of buzzwords at the bottom of your profiles. Recruiters cringe at that. It's awful. Don't do that. But it is an opportunity where if you could throw buzzwords in there to describe what you've been doing, you should maybe do that. You do want to be specific about the things you've done. And that would be the opportunity to say things like AI, artificial intelligence. Fun fact, every time you want to say AI, write out the words artificial intelligence and then next to it in parentheses put AI. You don't know what a recruiter's looking for. Is it artificial intelligence or AI? You just covered both your bases. So that's your summary. I always like to see a summary that has at least a couple sentences, one to two about who you are as a person, what makes you you. Again, we're hiring a person to do a job. We're not hiring a robot. So I want to know, like, do you like hiking? Are you a dog person? Do you have a funny sense of humor? Things like that are going to be really important. The jobs section. Okay, so first, all of your jobs should be linked to legitimate companies. What do I mean by that? Where the company is, there should be like a picture of their logo there. If you go to a profile where like the company they worked at doesn't have a LinkedIn page, it looks really wonky. And the first thing recruiters think is like, oh, that's cute. That's their company or their friend's company. So we want to make sure that they're all linked. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's great. That means all yours are linked. Great job. Titles. I get asked questions about this all the time. Companies have weird things they do with titles. I don't know why, but some companies just, your title is something that is obscure, that is only relative to your company. You don't have to use that on LinkedIn. You can just put account executive. You don't have to put like frontier go-getter of clients, right? Also, that's a terrible title. Use the generic industry accepted titles for things. That's what recruiters are going to be looking for. And underneath that, I always suggest have a bullet point explanation of what you did at that company. Don't write paragraphs, put in bullet points. Make it easy for the recruiter who's not good at their job to read and get through, right? Write like you're writing for an 8th grader. Fun fact, you should also always write like you're writing for an 8th grader. It's a weird piece of knowledge. Don't, in your first sentence, write what the company does for business. We know we can click on the company. It's right there. If we don't know what it does, well, I'll click on it. I'm not going to rely on your description of what the company does. I'm going to take a brief pause because I feel like I've covered a whole bunch of stuff so far and no one's doing anything in the chat or interrupting me. I've seen Jennifer laugh a couple times, which is awesome. Thanks, Ms. Reed Tram. Yeah, Catherine, I said the same thing earlier. Hi, Irene. Hi, buddy. I didn't even see you there. Cool. Anybody else? I can't tell if you're serious, Catherine. This summary section is the about section. That is correct, Piyush. Do I recommend dropping jobs from more than N years ago? No. We'll cover why on that, Mike. There's a couple of different reasons why I wouldn't do it. That being said, let's make this super clear, guys. That job you worked while you were in college, get that shit off your resume, off your profile. That is no business on your profile. If you did something before college, even worse. That doesn't need to be on your profile unless you're coming right out of college or you have like 1 or 2 years of experience. We're going to talk about why when we go live and show on that. What if the company does not exist anymore and therefore you can't link? I would add something in about that. Kathleen, I would probably say something like my first sentence about like company went under, company something, so people can at least understand why they can't find anything about that company and it doesn't look weird to them. If I have a legit business as a side hustle, no employees, just you, list that or no? Austin, that's a really tough ask. And here's the reason. If you're looking to get hired as a contractor through your company, hell yeah, list that. If you're not, I wouldn't list that. You're going to have things overlapping and it's only going to cause a recruiter to have questions. You want to make it as clear and as plain to a recruiter as possible when they look at your profile that they go, oh, I should talk to this person. For jobs that are major companies, do I recommend short explanation about the program or thing that you did? I would still stick it to bullet points. It's easier to read. Almost anything you can stick into a bullet point. If you want to get super techie about it, you can use the STAR methodology. It's typically associated with behavioral-based interviewing. But you can set 4 bullet points. One is the situation that the org or the group was in when you joined. The next was like what you were tasked to do when you were hired. Third is A, the action. What did you actually do while you were there? Last one is R, the results. What happened as a result of the actions that you took while you were there? Yeah, Austin, I would go a no-go on that one, man. We're all the nuggets down. Thanks, Irene. How important are endorsements for your skills? Not. Okay, education. Yeah, I can show you why they're not, but it's not usually a thing. All right, so education. Again, no one cares what clubs you were in during college 20 years ago. If you've graduated in the last 3 to maybe 5 years, sure, keep that in there. It's part of your quote unquote work history, but outside of that, just get rid of it. People don't care. They're not going to look at that. I promise they're not going to look at that. The skills section on your profile is completely and utterly useless except for being a buzzword central. You want to know how to get found based on doing X, Y, Z, add it as a skill. You can add whatever skills you want to your profile. It doesn't matter if people endorse you for it or not. They're on your profile. When a recruiter searches for them, you'll show up. I'll show you my profile. You'll get a chuckle out of that. Include grad year. Yes. No, I wouldn't worry about the ageism concerns. Here's the reason for that, Brendan, is when people don't include their year of graduation, for me, it's annoying. I'm like, great, another thing I have to research. I just look at when you started work. So like one of 2 things is happening. You're either lying by not including everything you've done professionally, or I just look at the year you started work and assume that you graduated college within 1 to 2 years of that point, and like, who cares? What if you do not have a degree? That's great. Don't put anything on your profile put lots of shit on your profile. Don't put anything under education on your profile. You don't need to put your where you took courses. You don't need to put where you went to high school. It's irrelevant. I didn't get a degree until I was 9 years into this business. We're not at that place anymore. Sorry, I'm going to caveat that. If you're a doctor, I would just like to know where you practice, please. If you could send that privately to me, I'm going to avoid that. Outside of that, it won't matter. How many variations of each skill are necessary? That is going to be a great one to go over, Michelle, when I show you what we search for and how we can search. You'll be able to answer that question. The bottom line is, since there's no limit and people don't actually look at that section, throw everything in there. Would you put that you're currently pursuing a degree, or is it an I don't care unless it's done kind of thing? It's an if you have a grad year, do it and add the grad year. If you're doing it like I'm doing seminary, where like I'm going to graduate at some point in the next like 5 to 8 years, don't do it. You'll notice also seminary is not on my profile for that exact reason. Hey, no problem. Great questions. Keep them coming. Profile picture and location. All right, guys, LinkedIn went through a weird thing a little while ago where some people's profile pictures privacy got changed. Mine was one of them. So it took somebody coming to me and saying, hey, when I wasn't connected to you, I couldn't see your profile picture. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, no way. Winds up, that privacy setting got changed. Make sure that even if people aren't connected to you, they can see your profile picture. Super important. It makes you look legitimate. Devin, back to skills. Do you want to have skills associated with each role? I believe they pull a lot of that out automatically. Again, like I can tell you, I've been doing this for a while. I never look at that ever because I don't care what you think your skills are. No offense. I want to know what did you do at the job, right? Like one of my skills is being funny. That doesn't make me a good sourcer. It makes me a fun employee, but doesn't make me any better or worse at my job. And then for location, gets all the time. Use Noga, if you're hitting your maximum number of skills, that is totally awesome. I think I have like 60 or 70 on there. So if you're doing more than that, rock on, get it. Use your location, guys. Even if you're looking for a remote job, you want to put your location, and there's a few reasons. When people are looking even for remote, sometimes it's important when looking that the person sits in, let's say, a particular time zone. So like we'll look for people who sit anywhere in the US except for in the West Coast states. If you don't list your state, you're not going to show up there more often than not. So make sure you put your state. It's not going to exclude you from getting a job that's remote. I know some people have asked like, oh, what if I want to get a job in a new place? We'll cover that, I promise. Skills are just for LinkedIn's recruiter search, generally. And the way I kind of justify this and think through this, Devin, is I ask recruiters this all the time when I'm doing training, and I go, hey, when's the last time you added a skill to your LinkedIn profile? And there's always like one goody in the group who's like, I've done that in the last year. I'm like, all right, cool, good for you. The other 18 people here haven't done that since college, right? And then I'm like, hey, when's the last time you removed a skill from your LinkedIn profile? And like 0 all the time, 100% hit rate of no one raising their hand, right? So therefore, like, what use is it really? It's just a search for buzzwords. Recommendations, super dope. People don't read them. Should I be listing San Francisco Bay Area or your actual town? San Francisco Bay Area, if you're close enough. If you won't commute into San Francisco for a job, don't do that. Just put your town. It's a great question there, Eric. Cool. All right. Any other LinkedIn questions? Obviously, you can keep them coming however you want to. Location, planning to relocate to a different city once you find a job. I mentioned this in the summary, but current location is set to where I am right now. Some people suggest you change that to where you want to be, but that feels a little dishonest. Change it to where you want to be. Yeah, totally get it. You're like, well, that's not really honest, but like, are you 100% not going to take a job in the current place that you live? If the answer is no, I absolutely will not take a job in the place that I live, then change it to the other location. If it's, I would like to find a job in that location to move there, then yes, keep it as your location, keep your current location and put that in your summary. Skills in the experience section, long or concise. Concise, you don't want it to look, as someone had put in their question, you don't want it to look tacky or extra. Cool. I'll keep checking the questions. Should you mention explain gap in your work experience? That's the $1 million tough question. I'm a big fan of explaining gaps in profiles just to like let people know what was going on. If it's a current gap, I put it front and center in my summary. If it's a previous gap, I'll typically put something in like hiatus or sabbatical or something like that. And then if you want to share why underneath, like go for it. Like you don't have to. I don't think that's anybody else's business, but like that's my own personal perspective. All right. Facebook, Instagram, X. I hate calling it that. I still call it Twitter. Let's just be mindful here, guys. I have to say this every time I talk to somebody looking for a job. I'm like, hey, what are your privacy settings? Like for all your pictures, are they shared with like the whole world? Because like, again, we don't need to see you, taking a beer funnel or smoking a joint in college. Like we get it. We all did it. We don't need to show it to everybody. So make sure, is your profile pic or your bio accessible to everybody? Great. We still want to make sure that that's happening. Keep your interests on Facebook. Keep some of your photos on Instagram so people can see that you're a real person. You exist. You share photos of yourself. It's a good way for us recruiters to also validate you're not an AI bot. Because I know everybody thinks it only goes one way. It goes both ways. Make sure that you're still being human. But again, just be mindful of the content that's out there. Profile visibility for those looking for LinkedIn profile. Austin, you're awesome. What if you are not active on X or Insta or Facebook? Then you are a godsend for a recruiter. That is fantastic. That means we're not going to find crap on your background. Is it a strike against if we don't have social media outside of LinkedIn? It's not a strike against. Most recruiters, I don't think will actually check. Recruiters who are more exhaustive in how they do things or are looking for whether it's executives or people in like really client-facing roles like sales may want to just check to see what else you've got out there because some clients may check, some other executives may check. I don't think it's a strike, honestly, but just something to be mindful of. Also, if you're applying to work at Facebook, like you should have a Facebook account. Like hopefully I don't have to say that out loud, but there it is. Cool. And the last passive thing, let's talk about the almighty resume. I'm going to start this by apologizing for all my snark. I hate resumes. I think they're stupid. I think they're exactly like references. And people are like, can I get 3 references? I'm like, no. No, if you want to talk to 3 people that I've already spoken to and said, hey, are you going to say really good stuff about me? Like, no, I'm not doing that. Also, my wife has a different last name than I do. She's one of my references. Like, enjoy that. You're not going to know which one it is. So resumes for me are very similar. It's a lot of whatever. It's fine. So your header up top, name, email, phone, LinkedIn link, and your location. Do you have to put your town? No. Would I probably put your state? Maybe. I'd probably throw that up there just for really quick reference. Again, can a recruiter who's not really great at their job glance and get the net of like who you are, where you are? Your about me section. This is going to be similar to that like summary or about section on LinkedIn, but shorter, much shorter. Cool to share like one personal thing about you, but honestly on your resume, I'd keep it professional. And I would just say something to the tune of like your background and what you're looking for next. That's it. Again, avoid the fluff. Avoid all of that. This is the part to keep to the data and say, like, these are the things I've done. This is what I'm looking to do next. Thoughts on LinkedIn recommendations. I have a bunch. I don't know the last time I've ever looked at somebody's LinkedIn recommendations. It's like references. It's the same deal. You ask someone to say something nice about you. Like, you can delete a recommendation on LinkedIn. So someone were just like, oh, that guy Mike's an asshole. I'd be like, nah, deleted. Like, honest, that was a true recommendation. But like, nah, I'm not going to show that live. One page only. Oh, my God. This one page myth. Ted, thank you so much for bringing this up. This is not an oh, my God, at you. This is an oh, my God. How the hell did this thing get started? Like, I've been hearing this for 10 years now. I'm like, guys, one page resumes are stupid. It's not a thing. There's no like limit because like, font size is a thing, so like that's stupid. No, not one page. If you have a 5-page resume and 10 years of experience, you're doing it wrong. If you have a 3-page resume and 25 years of experience, that's probably okay. So make it reasonable based on how experienced you are. My resume is 3 pages long. I've done a lot of stuff. I've been doing the same job for almost 20 years. Like, it's going to be a longer resume. What do you think about title, company? Irene, I'm anti that, but that's just me. It's a preference. I'm company and then title, because as a recruiter, the way I think through it is, where did you work? What did you do? When were you there? And I think most recruiters tend to think that way. How important is the summary section in a resume? It's not huge. I don't have one in mind personally. Is that relevant to new grads? Sure is. Because how the hell else am I going to determine what you are? You don't have the work history. So like, I need you to explain to me what you've done that could be relevant and what you're looking to do next. There's no way I could cram all of this into one readable page. Yet you or I too. I'm in the same boat. Is it okay to jump to the skills and experiences? Sure is. I wouldn't put skills up top though. We'll cover that in a hot second. It's on this page. As someone trying to transition careers, best of luck, Austin. That's super tough. Should you include work history that's unrelated to the career you're targeting? Yes, but I would keep it like 1 bullet point or 2 bullet points at max. For that, And if you can, do that like thing where you kind of wishy-washy it into like, oh, but I was kind of doing software at these places, right? If you can't, you can just keep it to one bullet point or even not. Best way to show promotions within a company on a resume? Yeah, that's a great question. I will cover that, I think, live. I think my resume actually has that. I'll pull my own resume up for you. Does it make sense to add my time zone? I've had people schedule interviews at 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. No, I give you full permission if someone does that to write back and scold them like a child for not understanding how time zones work. No, I don't think you should. Man, if we are at that stage where recruiters can't figure out a 3-hour time zone difference or a 4, like that's... No, you shouldn't have to do that. That's ridiculous. A summary overview, the same as your about me. Yep. Is a summary over? Yeah. Is there a resume format that recruiters or ATSs prefer? Simplified, easy to parse. What about changing your job title to fit the job you're applying for? Hell yeah. Yeah, that's totally cool. Like when people do background checks and call your company, they're not like, what was his former title? All they can ask is, were they an employee? When did they work there? That's it. That's all they can ask. So yeah, who cares? People who were software engineers working at Palantir in the early days had a hard time with this because coming out of the company, your title was forward deployed software engineer. And that sounds like something where you're holding a rifle in a foreign country and coding at the same time. And it's just, it was their dumb title. So they would just put software engineer as their title moving forward. Under education, we're all done in the UK. Results, titles, summary to a US style. For education, I would leave it. Reason being, if people are familiar with that school or that area, they may know that like, oh, they wrote this thing, but like that school doesn't actually offer that. Like there are some schools like a Carnegie Mellon that don't actually have like a CS degree. So if you say you have like a computer science undergrad from Carnegie Mellon, I'm like, no, you don't. You may have a CIS degree, but like, oh, I know that already. I'm a software engineer looking to transition career as a therapist. God bless you. How open should I be about my current education? You should be pretty honest about it, I think. Education is something you can look for in a background check. Resume made using Word or LaTeX. I don't know what LaTeX is, but my immediate reaction is to cringe and say, don't do that. How should you position your LinkedIn profile? Currently unemployed, looking to change industry function, exploring multiple completely. I don't know your name because you're listed as A. Repost that when I go live. Please just copy and paste that back in once I go live. Open to work, flag on LinkedIn if you're unemployed, good or bad. Good. You're unemployed. It's a thing, right? You're not going to. Yeah. Cool. Work history, cover that. Education. Great. Same deal. No one cares about what you did 20 years ago. Keep it straight and simple. This is a place, though, that if you did graduate like cum laude, summa cum laude, whatever it's called, I obviously wasn't that. You can list that here. That's a cool accomplishment. Do that thing. All right. Skills section. Let's talk about this. If the first third of your first page of your resume is a list of all the skills that you have, you're doing it wrong. A skills section is only useful in very particular careers, right? As a recruiter, for example, if I open your resume and you have a long about me, first off, yuck. And then it's a whole bunch of lists of all the tools and things you've done. My immediate response is to go, nope, pass. Why? Because it's completely irrelevant. I could list Adobe Photoshop as a skill of mine because I was playing around with it for like 3 straight months, like 6 years ago. That doesn't mean I do that thing. I'm not good at it. I can't point to what I've done with it there. Your skills should be listed intelligently under the job where you use them. And if relevant, based on the career you're looking for, you can put it at the end of your profile solely for like search capability, picking things up. And if somebody really wants to see like what's everything this person's ever worked on, cool. That's buzzword central again. That's where you're going to put stuff to get found. Formatting of your resume. I can show you my resume. The goal, make your resume readable. If you're thinking, oh, well, I want my resume to stand out to somebody. No, you don't. I promise. You don't. You want the content of your resume to stand out to someone. You don't want it to stand out because you've got a bright blue banner up top and your face is the background of your resume. Trust me, that's not a thing. It stands out. We're talking about it. Not the way you want us to. Okay, so I got a question saying, if recruiters suck at their jobs, how do they get hired or promoted? How do people who would not suck at being a recruiter get into the profession? So that is a really great question. So recruiters sucking at their job. The bar of entry to be a recruiter is super, super low. It's super low. I blame the Blue Devil LinkedIn for this. How do they maintain their job and get promotions? If I send out 5,000 emails, like chances are someone's going to reply to me. If I do that enough times, chances are the right person will reply to me. And chances are if the right person replies to me enough, I'm going to make a hire. So like, it goes back to that whole like, hey, if you're totally cool throwing a whole bunch of shit against a wall, like, could you be a successful recruiter? No. Could you be a recruiter who like keeps their job for a long time? Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it's totally true. Also, a lot of recruiters just wait for people to apply to jobs and then ping them. And then they get set up and they're like, I made a hire. I'm like, no, you didn't. You basically were like a secretary for your hiring manager and you took a piece of paper from one place and handed it to another. Like, congratulations. So how would you get into the profession? Contact me offline. Happy to share that with you. And also tell you, like, you sure you want to do that? Can I give an example of how to write skills corresponding to your experience? Sure. If you're looking to get into sales or recruiting or marketing, don't have a skills section. It's not going to be relevant for you. Anything in the STEM space might be worth it. Anything where you're dealing with like very specific technologies that'll differentiate you from somebody else also in your space, add it. If you're putting Microsoft Office as your skills, stop it. My daughter's 20 months old. She knows how to use Microsoft Office. That was a joke, obviously. She doesn't know how to use Microsoft Office. She uses G Suite like every other adult. How far back in time should we go in the resume compared to LinkedIn? I will list all things, but anything over like 10 or 15 years ago, I tend to just put company title, dates you work there, company title, dates you work there. And I'll put like a bullet point underneath that says, for more information, happy to share. Something like that. It makes you sound human and also makes it realize to the person reading your resume that like you're trying to be respectful and not just shove a whole bunch of data down their throat. Do you think the standout resume matters for creatives? Is there an expectation to have color or different formatting or maybe? What company are you applying to? If you're applying to a large company to work into brand, no, don't use color. Don't use that. You're still going to be viewed by some crap recruiter. If you're looking to get into like a smaller brand agency, yeah, it may be worth a try. I can't speak to like the efficacy of that. I know that your portfolio is going to be the most important thing. So like make sure that's up to snuff. But I tend to tell people like your resume ultimately will be parsed into an ATS, right? An applicant tracking system. The harder you make it to parse your resume in there, the less information the system will have on you, the less searchable you are in that system, the less beneficial it is, no matter how pretty it is. Yeah, Sam, thanks, dude. How different, same should your resume and LinkedIn be? Resume should be a little bit more in depth, pretty similar. Saw a recruiter praising a resume a while back that had a link to an audio version of the candidate going over their info. Yeah, I dig that. Any thoughts on something like this? My first thought is that you're not going to blindly click a link to an audio file in Dropbox. Yeah, no, load that shit onto YouTube. Also had a link to talk with their AI oh my God, that is super cringy. Don't do that. Gross. Also, share with me privately who that recruiter is so I can scold them publicly. Are recruiters open to being DM'd on LinkedIn? Who gives a shit? Do it. Right? Is that girl at the bar open for me going up and asking if I could buy her a drink? Who knows? Go for it. Buy her a drink. Who knows? For the record, that is certainly not how I found my wife. So I'm preaching anecdotally, obviously. Highlighting keywords in your resume. Do not bold keywords in your resume. Do not do that thing. That is a wild offshore contracting company thing to do. Don't do it. Period. End of story. Don't do it. Will we get a recording to this meeting? Sure will. It was mentioned at the start that a copy will go up on YouTube. I can't speak to that. I think Rachel's going to do that and edit out all the offensive things I say. Cool, great, posted. Customer success space, God bless you. What are some key indicators that'll make my resume and LinkedIn profile stand out? Being a human. Customer success is all about two things. It's about client retention and satisfaction and you being a person that clients are going to want to work with. Show both. Is there a way to check how parsable your resume is? Nope. Sorry. So formatting resume images, yuck, avoid them. Lots of colors, double yuck, obviously. Make sure you're using the same tense, even if you still work there. Past tense, guys, past tense. What does that mean? I worked on this. I created this. I developed this. Not develop, not developing, not create, not creating. Past tense. You want recruiters to read it as though you don't work there anymore. Also, if you don't work there, certainly have that be the case. Make sure your tense remains true all the way through your whole resume. Company title, dates. It's funny, Irene, I literally put this in here. That's how I personally set up resumes. Company title right underneath it, bolded. And then to the right, justified across from company, I put dates. To the person earlier who asked, how do you deal with career progression at a company? I will put company dates, and I will put the dates that I was at the company in total. Then what I'll do is across from title, I will put the dates, or immediately next to the title, I will put the dates I held that title, put your section, and then put the next title in bold and those dates and the section. Is right? Yes, recruiters scan that way. Yep, totally right, Irene. What about the location of the company? Who gives a shit? Sorry, no offense. Like, no one cares. If you're working for a company that's based in Seattle or a company that was based in Guam, it's completely irrelevant. It literally does not matter. There's no use case for knowing where your company sits or where you sit, because your address or your location will show that. And if you're looking for remote work, even worse. Simulate resume parsing by ATS. No idea, Ivan. I've never heard that that's a thing, but that is so awesome. You can ping me offline and I'll be happy to spot check that if you want. I'm guessing the answer is no. Hi, Jennifer, by the way. But is there anything about this advice that's different if you're looking for a C-suite role? 90% of exec roles are sourced. They are. 90% of exec roles are sourced. I would get linked up with an executive recruiting agency if you can. I have a couple I could suggest for you, but again, remember, most recruiters are terrible at their job. How do you view someone who's worked at a municipality for 10 years with a whole bunch of blessings? God bless you. Worthless government worker thing. I think that's a self-perception, Austin. I don't view it that way. There are some jobs where like it won't be as relevant transferring in, but honestly, like what you're doing there is more important than the where. Yes, Irene, parsing is going to be different depending on what ATS you're using. Does the time frame indicate how long I've been at a specific company, or does it need to be tied to each and every role I did at a specific company? Ronita, I would put the main date here that you see next to company as the total time you were at the company. And then depending on how long you were there and how long you were in each role, you may want to put your titles as you progressed up. You also don't have to. You can just put your most recent title at that company. If you think the progression will be viewed positively, great. But like, here's the deal. If you're working out of college and your first job is like a junior financial analyst, and then you got a job at a company and you worked there for 11 years and your title was director when you left, I probably am assuming you weren't hired as a director coming out of college with 1 year of experience, right? I'm assuming you started as a different thing and kind of worked your way up. Yeah, ping me offline about executive source or recruiter recommendations. Hi, Jennifer. That's great. Yeah, share your guys' LinkedIns in the chat. Let's all connect. Let's be friends. All right, active actions. We're listing the total dates at a company plus dates for each position at that company. Doesn't parse well into an ATS. Yeah, totally true. That's true. It depends on how you're uploading it, whether it's how it's parsing into the system. As I said, you don't have to do that unless it's really relevant. Otherwise, just put the dates and put your current title when you're leaving. Again, unless you think the progression is going to be a thing that's really important for your future job seeker or your potential employer. Okay, when applying to jobs, guys, connect with the hiring manager and the team on LinkedIn. Connect, add a little note, mention you're interested in the job and you figure you connect here, and then reach out to the hiring manager. A lot of people ask me like, should I reach out to the recruiter? I'm like, no, you shouldn't reach out to us. We suck. Don't do that. Find the hiring manager, reach out to that person. Do you know who's struggling because they have an open job on their team? It's not the recruiter. That doesn't keep me up at night, and I'm not working extra because there's an open user experience design role. That manager, though, they sure are. You should reach out to that person directly. How do we find the hiring manager effectively? Look at your job title that you want to apply to, and then look at a person whose title is manager, and then that job title would be the easiest way to do it. Or director in that job title. You can go up, you can go to VP, you can go to any of those, but use the job title as a searching mechanism. And then try and figure out the nomenclature for their work title. There's a bunch of tools out there that'll let you do this for free. I think Nymeria is a good one, Nymeria. Find their work email if you can and reach out to them. Shoot them an email. Don't make it a form copy. God help you if you copy and paste something into that email, guys. Make that a legitimate email you're writing to that human about that job. Okay. LinkedIn has a limited number of free messages. Yeah, don't reach out on LinkedIn. Add a note when you connect with them, but reach out via email. Find their email. I'll give you a clue that nomenclature at companies remain the same. So if you know from somebody that it's first.last at thatcompany.com, you can pretty much guess that hiring manager's going to have that same email. Cool. Yeah, exactly, Sam. Yeah, that's right. If they have a super common name and they're at like PwC, that'll be a little bit harder. But if it's really a thing you're running into and struggling with, ping me and I'll throw you their email address. It'll take me 2 seconds. Okay. After you've done that and you've reached out to the hiring manager or somebody on the team twice, then apply. Don't apply before then. You don't want to get declined in the system and then have to have the hiring manager fight with the recruiting to undecline you to then put you into the process. Like, it's not worth it. Just wait. Are the notes in the presentation based on your personal preference, or is there a guideline that sources typically follow? It's a combination of A and B. A little bit of it's personal preference, voicing that when that's the case. I'm telling you that's my personal preference. The rest of it is just based around training a whole bunch of sources and recruiters over the years. Resume work dates. Can't find this from mention. How important is it to list them on the right? It's important because that's where we look for them. That's just how recruiters are trained. Like, company title, dates that you worked at the company. It makes it really easy to see and keep track of. All right, let's do it live. I got 10 minutes. Rachel's going to stop me in 7. I just bargained for another 4 minutes. All right, here we go. Starting search. All right, guys, if you've ever wondered, like, hey, what the hell are recruiters actually looking for when they look for me? These are the filters that they're using: job titles, locations, skills and assessments, companies, keywords, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's everything we have. Thank you, A. You did the thing. I appreciate that. I just thought of it. How should you position your LinkedIn profile? Currently unemployed. If you can keep the date as to present in your last job and just have forgotten to update it, that's fine. I'm not going to hold that over your head. Otherwise, I would try to list just the year instead of the month and the year, if that's possible. Same thing on your resume. If like you got let go from a job in like February of this year, just list to 2025. You don't have to put February of 2025. Could be yesterday, could be January 1st. Looking to do a new industry function than you have previously, super tough. You got to try to make crossover wherever you can. That's in your summary, that's in your positions descriptions on here. You got to try to make it so if somebody reading it, they could pull why you could be a good fit. You're not going to be reached out to, though. You're going to have to do the reaching out if you want to transition to another job and function. Hopefully that answered your questions. Cool. Okay. So a couple things to note on this. There is this thing. Almost every recruiter uses this thing because hiring managers give us stupid things to look for. Where they're like, I need somebody with 7 to 12 years of experience. I'm like, what bullshit numbers? You're telling me if someone has 12 years of experience, I should decline them for this job? That's stupid. Objectively stupid. And if they have 6 and they're doing exactly what you want, I should tell them no because they don't have 1 extra year of it. Stupid. But guess what? Recruiters are bad at their job. They do that thing. So all those jobs that you had, co-ops and internships, just know that adds to your years of experience. So you listing that job you did in high school means that instead of having 4 years of experience, you now have 8 years of experience. So if I'm looking for somebody junior for the job, I'm going to be like, hey, I need to find someone with under 5 years of experience. And because you worked at that ice cream shop when you were in high school, you're now too senior for this role. Get that shit off your profile, particularly if you're looking for more junior roles. Things we look for, job titles. Please note, most recruiters, again, not great. They're going to be like, sales, enter. Account executive, enter. Okay, cool. Or maybe account manager, enter. Business development manager. And right now, I don't even think they would have gotten this far. Irene, you can vouch for this. You've been to enough recruiting conferences. Most people suck at this, right? They're going to do that if they want to hire a salesperson. If this isn't one of your titles, you're not showing up. Keep that in mind, right? Location, again, important. If it's remote, we don't care about that. Skills and assessments. Recruiters use this. I don't know why it's stupid. We fill it out. So like we're just looking for keywords. We're basically saying like, hey, throw all your keywords here. Important to note, why do we need to have this though? When a recruiter uses keywords, which almost every recruiter does, because this is where they'll be like software and healthcare and clients, right? Which, by the way, stupid search. Keywords searches everywhere on your profile, including your skills section. Yes, Tina, yes, they can. So important. That's why skills for you, super important. Make sure they're beefed up. Make sure you have a whole bunch of stuff on there. This is brand new. I don't even know what the hell this does. It's dumb. So again, take a look at all of this. It's really important you understand this stuff. This is what we're looking for. Years of experience is probably the biggest thing I've seen eliminate people from jobs, because you have all that useless experience from back in the day and you're looking for a junior job. Any of my folks looking to transition careers, that's going to be tough for you for that exact reason. You may be senior in one field, but you're looking to be junior in another. Well, anybody searching by years of experience, you're not included in their search anymore. What are qualifications? Devin, I actually have no idea. I've never even seen this before. It's got to be pretty new. And honestly, I hate LinkedIn as a company, so I haven't given it credence. Oh, it's probably their lame attempt at AI. It's cool. Is there an I? Then it's new. Yeah. Boom. Thanks, Devin. Nailed it. From what I know, if you're too senior for a role, you might be too expensive for a role. So maybe that's why there's a maximum experience for a role. Yeah, I guess the question, Piyush, though, is why 12? Why not 13 or 11 or 14? You know what I mean? Like they have these like hard and fast things from like, that's silly. Don't do that. Okay. Last thing, I'll pull up my own profile on this. You can see mine. And then I promise I'll stop in the next 2 minutes. I don't promise. I lied to you. Sorry, Rachel. To be fair, I apologize in our initial conversation when I told you I'm apologizing now for going over, because I always go over. So here's my about section. That was dumb. So if you look, a lot of white space, cool little emoji. It draws your eyes. Here's a thought about a thing. Here's a thought about a thing. Here's a thought about a thing. Here's a thought about a thing, right? You can kind of go to each of these things to see all of this here, professional. This, personal, right? It's not a ton, but it's enough that people are like, oh, okay, this person seems like they're probably funny or like would be terrible to try and work with. Cool. Yes, guys, join Wellfound's Discord. I'm on there. I'm like helping and like giving advice and stuff. If you don't use Discord or don't know what it is, ping Rachel. She'll help you get set up one-on-one. She'll literally set time out of her calendar just to get you on Discord. Sorry, Rachel. I did that to you. So in experience, and I'm never allowed back at Wellfound again. So if you check it out, look, I don't have to put what phData does. I can click it. Boom. This is what I did. 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 Boom. This is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I did. I just want to know, what did you do with this place? I don't care how you think you did or whether you really started, just do this thing. Do emojis give the impression that AI wrote the about section? I tend to steer away from them because of that. Depends on what you're using them as. So I only use them as a bullet point for a header and then for my personal section. So like this, AI is not writing that. AI is probably not writing that. AI is definitely not writing that. Cool. And then, guys, skills section. You ready for this BS section? It's awesome. Oh, yeah. So, look, check it out. A whole bunch of endorsements. I don't even know who they're from or when they're from anymore. I don't remember the last time I checked them. Skills. I have 49, I guess, is the total. Yeah. So, check this out, guys. Look, I have like software developer in here. I have Scala and Java, which are software languages. I don't code, not even a little bit. But I just want to prove a point. Like if you look for it, I'm going to show up. I even have, if you scroll down, adding skills to my LinkedIn profile as a skill of mine, followed by I'm adding skills to my profile. This doesn't mean I really do this thing, but I do. I'm doing it right now, which for the record, I've been endorsed for 11 times. So if you think endorsements are important, you are incorrecto. Okay, unfortunately, I speak too much. I literally had all of your questions here. So here's the deal. If I didn't get to your question in my natural verbosity and stand-up routine, ping me on Wellfound's Discord server, and I will answer them for you. Ping pong? Pfft. Dude, Clovis, bring it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. That was like, I don't know, like a speed round of amazing.
Yeah.
We've never had someone answer the number of questions before. So I feel exhilarated and just thrilled that you were able to join us today and give us the real perspective on what it's like to source and sort of the do's and don'ts. Before we head out, I just want to quickly present here. Sorry, hold on a second. Yes, we have, as Mike mentioned, we have a Discord. I dropped it into the chat. I think Alejandro might drop it again for us. This is a space that has been mostly job seeking focused, but Mike was excited about it and is going to hopefully join in. I would love that. So do ping him if he's up for answering some more questions that we didn't get to. That's great. And then if you can, we're also dropping the survey into the chat there. This is our 21st Ask a Recruiter, which is an exciting milestone that we just passed 20 of these. They've been great for bringing job seekers together, sort of making this a little bit less lonely. And now that we've covered some of the foundations, I'm really curious about what people are looking for like more niche topics. So please fill it out. It gives you opportunity to add your email to always be invited to these. And also it gives you opportunity to let me know, like, what can I improve? What would you like next? It doesn't have to be an improvement point. It could be a suggestion as well. And that is it. Mike, thank you so much.
I also like feedback, like for real feedback. Yeah, I know I swear. If your feedback is don't swear, it's unprofessional. Yeah, got it. I've been getting that for like 8 years. But I really do like feedback if anybody's got any.
Awesome. Well, meet us in the Discord to keep the conversation going. And I hope everybody has just like an awesome day and a great rest of the week.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.